Today we are playing Perladora, courtesy of VR Distribution. It's a 2 to 4 player game where players are placing divers down and trying to collect pearls on this grid map, and you're also sort of trying to block off areas so that your divers, which are of different values, are going to store the largest amount of pearls while cutting off your opponent. It's a fun little game that sort of has a bit more depth than I thought it did at first play. Joining me tonight is Luke. Luke, thank you for coming.
Thank you for having me.
Now, Luke, you are volunteer at Sticky Institute, which is sort of a Melbourne art collective zine place.
Yes.
Yep.
So Sticky Institute is a zine shop, artist run space, all volunteer run, and we also run a zine fair called the Festival of the Photocopier Zine Fair every February.
Now, before I start asking you about zines and what they are in the community, do you want to kick us off and either placing your divers, values face down, or the platoons and closing off the areas, and we'll go straight back and forwards?
I'm going to go for a diver.
Yep.
There it is.
Okay. So, if people don't know, what is a zine?
All right, so I do a zine radio show on Yarra Valley FM every week, and we start that show by having a definition of what is a zine. So my definition is that a zine is an independent publication. A zine is a small homemade magazine. Zine is usually made by an individual or a small group of individuals. A zine is often stapled. A zine is often photocopied. A zine is always made for love and not for profit. And a zine can break one or all of those rules and still be a zine.
We do have some examples of zines here, various different sizes, shapes, colours, paper stock. So I guess it's whatever sort of stories or thing they want to communicate is, and what they have accessible for the creators is what they can put it out on.
Yeah, there's such a large range out there. Like this is Rotzine. This is a zine from Toowoomba in Queensland by an artist called Bianca Martin. Comes out every week, and it's just one piece of paper, which is handwritten and folded, and you get to hear about Bianca's life in that zine. It's a beautiful different cover each time. And I like it because it's small, you know? It's just one piece of paper. That's all it is. Because they can be as big, you know, this is Maximum Rock and Roll. This is a huge zine from San Francisco. Ran since the early 80s, finished 2 years ago. But, you know, it's more magazine kind of thing. Whereas this is more kind of what I'd think of as kind of classic zine. It's photocopied, it's small, it's made by one person, whereas that's, you know, you've got a whole team of people working on that. It's got international distribution. Love them both. And always have, you know, since I first came across zines, it was like, yes, I think that this is for me, this zine thing.
So how long have you been in the scene, so to speak?
So long enough to see people, you know, coming back.
Okay. Yeah.
I made my first zine when I was a teenager. I would have been 17, 30 years ago. And, you know, zines are a really good place to make mistakes. Is it my go?
Yes, it is, yep.
Zines are a great place to make mistakes. So the first zines I made, it was just me and my school friends sitting around, drawing stupid stuff, saying stupid stuff, and we had a great time. And then it came to collating the zine. So everyone was happy to, you know, kind of draw things and write things. And then when it came to collating the zine, everyone disappeared and didn't want to do that. And I really loved that aspect of it. I was just like, I want to spend the next 3 hours putting this thing together. That really excited me. And everyone else just completely departed, wasn't interested in that. And so I put them together and then gave them the finished things. And it was just an exciting art project for me. And I've kind of been just totally on board with it ever since. And that was 30 years ago. That's, you know, it's a while.
So have you, so obviously Sticky is a bit of a hub in Melbourne. In Australia, what's the sort of scene like?
Look, it's always there, is one of them things. Every few years there's always an article in the mainstream media saying, oh, zines are back, zines are back. But it just never goes away. It's always there. So we'll go, we present the Festival of the Photocopier Zine Fair in February in Melbourne. We'll go up to Sydney for the Other Worlds Zine Fair, which happens usually at the start of May. Go up to Sydney later in the year for another zine fair called Sidzoo. We'll go up to Wagga Wagga for Halfway Print Fest, which happens usually around March. I went up to Brisbane for the Brisbane Writers Festival Zine Fair this year. And I went up to Byron Bay for the first Byron Bay Print Fest this year. And then I'm going over to Hobart for the Small Press Zine Fair in a few weeks. So we get around to quite a stack of zine fairs, and they all have a slight different vibe, depending on who's organising them.
Yeah, it doesn't sound like, when you did that list, it doesn't sound like zines are necessarily hurting for representation in Australia.
There's a lot of makers, at the Festival of the Photocopier. It's always interesting, like if people who are not involved in making zines, and I'll tell them, it's a zine fair on the weekend, you should come. They get a sense, there'll be like 3 tables and, 5 people kind of hanging around in the back room of some dingy pub somewhere. And it's, we've held it the last 3 years at the Meat Market in North Melbourne. There's 400 tables. There's thousands of people come through on, 2 days a weekend. And it's just a great time. People sell their zines. All the money goes straight back to the makers.
So if someone hadn't really delved into the world of zines, it might be a little bit, they might see some of this sort of like, it's been running for a long time. Maybe it's deeply personal. Some of their stuff, it's wonderful, but it looks weird, or it might maybe hard to sort of break into the surface of the culture. What would you say to someone who's maybe thinking like that?
Sticky Institute's really useful for that, just because you can come into the shop. There's hundreds of examples of contemporary zines on the walls. You can have a look. Whenever someone comes in, I always tell them to try and find something they like, try and find something they don't like, try and find something they can do better than, and then if they can do better than it, they really, should. There's a photocopier there. Spend half an hour, put something together and get it out there on the shelf. And literally, you just fill out the form, it goes straight out on the shelf, and hopefully someone out there is interested in what you're doing, and they'll read it, they'll take it home, they'll show it to other people, and then you try and make your next issue, and you try and make your next issue better than the previous issue. That might be in terms of content, that might be in terms of production. You might go for a colour photocopied cover for the next issue. You'll say no to your friend's bad poetry that you said yes to in the first issue. You'll know to say no next time. So then the next issue, you'll improve your photocopying skills. This one.
Well, I guess that's sort of something that's somewhat unique about zines when you talk about media or writing or something. It seems to be one where you are both the creator and the consumer, where a lot of other mediums, you're sort of one or the other.
Yeah, very much. And people work together, they make collaborative zines, they make split zines. You find people who are interested in similar things that, their work can go well with yours. So I've put out 3 or 4 split zines this year, just with people I've met. I think it's close, look.
Yeah, there's still this one to go. What have you got here? You've got...
No, this has got to be yours. 4...
Yeah, so I've got those ones. I'll take.
Oh, so you got, but yeah, you get all them.
Yeah, so it's all one area. So then that might have clinched it for me. Let's have a look. 24.
16.
I got 24, so I'm victorious in this. Luke, thank you not only for playing Peladora, but mainly for telling us about zines, about Sticky, about the sort of culture and community in Australia. It's very exciting. If people wanted to get to Sticky, where would they go?
So Sticky has moved in the past couple of years. We used to be underneath Flinders Street Station, and we're now in the Nicholas Building, which is 37 Swanston Street, level 8, on the corner of Swanston Street and Flinders Lane. Open Wednesday to Saturday, 12 till 5.
Excellent. Thank you very much.
Thank you.